thank you, Lord, for allowing us to gather here today as Lions and friends. We appreciate all that you do for us. We pray your blessing on those that cannot be with us. And we pray a special blessing on those that are ill and fighting various diseases. May the food that we eat today strengthen our bodies and our love for you and for each other. Amen. Amen.
Mike Parker. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Maryland. My country 'tis the sweet land of liberty, of the IC, land where my fathers lie, land of thy pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Bob.
Well, that's tonight. If we don't get rained out, I don't think we will. Would you, before the end of the meeting, would you hit it again?
President Lloyd, the Lions guests.
Installation will
We
be
do
next
have
week.
some guests today. First of all, Patterson's got a set of guests.
Let's get that.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I'm on the agenda for introducing our recipient. Should I do that now, Lloyd?
Go ahead.
Okay. Fellow Lions and guests, I would like to introduce Lower Columbia College Foundation recipient Jacob Chilson. Please stand. And his family members, his mom, Twyla, and brother Joshua. Thank you. Jacob has, can you just say a little bit about what you want to do? Okay, thank you.
I'm going for my information technology degree, and I plan, once I finish my associates at LCC, transferring to a 4-year for my bachelor's. And I'd like to complete a bachelor's in computer science as well. I like to do computer repair and troubleshooting with technology, really anything security related. I don't know, I've been doing it for years, so I wanted to get a degree in it. It's just my hobby and my passion. Yeah. No, I'm hoping to get a 4-year degree at University of Washington.
All right.
Thank you, Jacob. We're so happy to have you today. Jacob was unable to attend our regular scholarship day, so I invited him to come just as a guest. Thank you.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I'd like to introduce my good friend Zita Nitre.
Bob, you have any other guests?
Doesn't work.
Okay. Okay, Pat, I guess you and, what's her name there?
So Lloyd's funeral service is going to be next Wednesday. She's making brownies. Isla, you said you had a happy butt.
I do. I have a happy buck because of President Lloyd, Lions, and guests. Oh, you know, this peanut gallery I'm putting in a happy buck because on Thursday is my bestie's birthday, Sharon Nolan, who is our third vice president. So everybody get obnoxious and in her face.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday, Sharon. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that's enough. She's embarrassed now. That's true. That worked out really well. Thank you for doing that. Lion Dwayne Smith has got some money in his hand.
President Lloyd, call lines and
Brought me to tears.
Yes?
I have 5 happy bucks. Had a great vacation over to Spokane to see my daughter. And 3 of 4 of her adult children, of which 2 of the families are moving, one to Utah and the other one to California. So it's kind of a goodbye visit for them. And I was able to help my youngest grandson. We installed OSB on the interior walls of his 12-by-30 garage, and also built a wraparound workbench and some shelves. The last part of my happy bucks is it's good to be back when we're all busy making money with our club over this 4th of July. I've already signed up for 4 shifts.
Dwayne, what a leader he is, huh? Oh, it looks like Bob Piper's got happy bucks. What's going on here? Holy moly.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I'm throwing in 5 happy bucks because this week I will not only have all 3 of my kids, but most of my grandkids, and my oldest granddaughter is getting married. So I'm getting about as old as most of you guys.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, Lion Rick, I guess.
King Lion Lloyd, fellow Lions guests, yeah. I have a really short happy buck. I have a 8-month-old baby that my daughter has. And to preface that, it's my grandkid. I got to watch him stand up for the first time last week. So yeah. So now he's learning that. And pretty soon we won't be able to catch him.
Where'd it go?
So you found the rock. President Lloyd, fellow Lions guests, $5 today. First is a sad dollar. Friday evening, just getting ready to go to bed, our dog came to me and was kind of walking funny, so after checking her legs, I realized we thought she had a stroke. She kept falling to the left side. I'm not going to say that. There are no emergency vets locally. We scrambled Saturday morning to try and get in one of the local places. They had no openings. So we went down and spent pretty much the entire day, Saturday, at an emergency vet's office. The good news is she did not have a stroke. The bad news is she has an inner ear problem and has no balance, so she falls over and has trouble, so that's a little on the sad side.
So just like you, Mark.
Just like me, they explained it's like severe vertigo. Been there, done that. It's not fun. I'm hoping that she gets well soon. Happy dollar. John Claypool hosted our monthly poker group. Had a good time at John's house, and I did not lose money, so my wife was happy about that part. Finally, quote of the week. This one is from Lou Holtz. Ability is what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it.
Wise words. Wise words. I think it's time to hear from Sue. We haven't seen you for so long. How are you, hon?
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I'm just putting in a happy buck to say everybody. I haven't been here for some time because my partner in community relations got promoted to an executive director, which is wonderful for her, but I got a little extra work. So, so I'm getting a new partner soon, so then I'll be back to normal here. So good to see everybody.
I'm retiring from this job in about 2 weeks, so yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but you were actually elected to the Okay, sorry. Ryan Terry, what's going on?
King Lion, Longview Pioneer Lions, yes. Got a couple of happy dollars. First one is that Sunday we went up to the Rainier, whatever, the Tacoma Rainier baseball game, and with two of my sons and a grandson and his girlfriend and stuff. So anyway, got to spend happy Father's Day there. The other dollar is a bewildering dollar. I wasn't home this morning when Jim Reinke called, but he told my wife that he had to take, or he was getting Eileen to the hospital this morning. So I don't know what kind of shape anybody's in. He seems to be confused about it, so keep him in the prayers. Pat, which one, Pat? Here's a Pat. John.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have a few happy dollars today. First one is for Father's Day, having all my grands come over. Just missed one son who was at Norpac making paper. My second happy dollar is Saturday night I hosted our little poker thing. Nickel, dime, quarter, triple bump limit, so you have to be a fool to lose $20 in the game.
Did you?
Sorry, Woody. I shouldn't say that about Terry because if he stays in the game, I'm out of it. Anyway, I also won the Joe Trophy, which means I won $8 for sitting with them for 5 hours. Oh my gosh. I have another happy dollar. My good friend Mark Kelch, turns out he had 2 sets of poker chips, the real good, nice, expensive kind. And he kept one, he brought the second set over, brand new, still in the cellophane. Mark, thanks so much. Very kind of you. My last happy dollar is the happiest dollar. I'm not going to be here next Tuesday. Going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and the reason is Connie has put up with me for 50 years as of July 1st. And we're going for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Hey, John, are you going to the same place? I would like to, but we can't afford it.
Ryan Maryland.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have $5, so I had to write it down so I didn't forget something. I had my first physical therapy appointment today because I've strained the ligaments around my knee and down my leg. Twice a week I have to go, so I think I'm feeling better already, but she warned me. I would like to just thank the Chilson family for being here. Seeing Twyla reminded me that when we first moved here to Longview in 1987, I had the opportunity to work at the beauty college and be an instructor for at least a year and a half, which means I worked for her parents, John and Mary Chilson. And I really had the sweetest note from Mary when I left. And that was something that was a real plus for me. So then, what else? We had a great weekend, MD-19 council meeting, but the bonus was we were staying overnight with Vicki Wallenbrock. I know that several of you know who Vicki is, and it was a great time. We just really enjoyed being able to be there. For those of you who didn't know her, she was a fellow Pioneer Lion until she moved away after retirement. Is that worth $5? Oh, the other thing is, I'm now officially a past district governor, no longer immediate past.
That's why I didn't even give her the PDG title, man. You're all done with that now. Lion Judy. Judy.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have a couple dollars. One, I've just gotten back from Wenatchee, spent 3 wonderful weeks in the warmth. Come back, I'm freezing. I know. And the second dollar is my daughter just got out of surgery. She's been in the hospital for almost a week, and it sounds like it's going to be a success. I'm very happy.
Good to hear, Judy. Nice to see you back. Lion Greg.
Yeah, great.
President Lloyd, no lights, gas, couple bucks a day. First one, had a really good Father's Day, went down to Astoria, spent the day down there with one of my boys and daughter-in-law. The other dollar, we've got a great-grand-nephew, lives down in the Woodland area. He's 13 years old. The school came after him to be on their skeet team. He just competed in the national level and took 3rd place as a 13-year-old.
13-year-old, yeah.
Wow.
He's got good eyes.
Finally a first that can shoot. Hey, Eric, how are you?
Good. President Lloyd, Lions and guests. I, for Father's Day, also went to Astoria, but I was happy because I didn't see Greg.
Carrie Ann, we're going over here first because she's prettier than those two.
Yeah, that's true.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, my sad dollar, my mom said to be sure to let everybody know that she really appreciated the flowers in the hospital. She did get out the other day, she went back in, so she is currently at the hospital now. So any thoughts and prayers for her, I appreciate it, thank you.
Lion Mike.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests. We got $3. First one, both my girls are doing good. Actually better than the doctors expected. Number 2, yesterday I had a doctor's appointment and I was treated by Marilyn Patterson. This particular Marilyn Patterson, Steve wouldn't reach her shoulder. My $3 Sunday, I spent the day in Nacelle reacquainting with a friend I've had for years, but I hadn't seen him for years. When I started mentioning names of people in the club here, his eyes kind of lit up. He says, I'm sure I've dealt with some of them. I should mention he's a retired state patrolman.
I knew there was law enforcement in that joke. Lion Ron Stopler, you look magnificent, sir.
Thank you. With a small one.
Wait a minute.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, just $5. I went to Pat Parker's memorial last weekend. It was really a good one. So Mike was very happy that all the people there said hi again to Pat.
Yeah. There you go, Bob. And the cookies were delicious. Yeah. Hey.
We have to go back.
They have to go backwards.
Yeah. Hal has to wait.
Ryan, tried the Hal has to wait. A rebuttal dollar or a funny dollar for, I've never known that when Steve reaches for somebody, he reaches for their shoulder.
Senator, does it remind you of Olympia?
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I just want you to know those cookies that I got at the end of the meeting last week,
Yeah.
they went to very good use.
I can see that.
You can see it. Good one, Spencer. Good one. What happened is we got down to top off early. That was my grandkids' birthday present for me. And we were early enough for them to eat 2/3 of all those cookies. And Rick, guess which ones were gone first? Yeah, so we're putting it in order for another one of those, another set of those. But I gotta tell you, Top Golf is interesting because the whole concept, I think, started in Japan, where you just hit balls out there in the middle of nowhere, and the little camera follows it. That's where my balls
Kind
are.
of like all the time.
Not like a regular golf. So I practiced like regular, so that was fun. So then, I don't know if you can tell, I have a new birthday hat.
You're following the net?
Yeah, that's it. And it's kind of funny, my wife says, oh, yeah, that's a captain's hat. I didn't have the heart to tell her it's a Greek fisherman's hat. Yeah, but it's okay, it's okay. And then tomorrow I get to spend a day with Ron Stopper, and I'm looking forward to that.
Are you Ron?
Do you know why he's spending time with?
He was my mentor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So tomorrow,
Can't always.
Al takes that nice walk in that I'm 76 years old. Start tomorrow. So we could sing again to him, but I would suggest that we don't.
No.
But we could. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Al, happy birthday to you. And I was going to actually let you know that that's actually a Russian seafarer's hat. But that's the Greek.
You sure it isn't Ukrainian?
It could be.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it could be. Hey, President Lloyd, Fellow Lions and guests, my 5 happy bucks this week are about a wonderful Father's Day, about Hal making it to 76, while he's enjoying a sailing trip with Ron. I'm going to be up at the UW getting an echocardiogram with contrast.
All right.
So I'll be pictures back, but it'll be later in July because I'm not going to be here next Tuesday because I'm going on a cruise to Mexico. So have fun, you guys.
Been there, done that.
Anything going on?
Yeah. Okay, yes.
Hey, wait.
He's gonna owe $1.
Oh, $1 for next week.
Seriously, man.
He's married, his wife has all the money.
President Lloyd, this isn't the first time he's busted out dollars for me before, by the way, either. President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, thank you. The reason I don't have any cash today is, as I stated last week, I dragged them all to the Bird Museum on the UW campus in Seattle for Father's Day, because I get dragged to my mother-in-law's house almost every other weekend. There's a hot tub, but I don't get to enjoy the hot tub. She enjoys the hot tub. I take care of the baby while she enjoys the hot tub. We watch from far away.
You're learning.
Oh, nothing. There's nothing wrong. I'm supposed to say that. Nothing wrong with that. But the point is, I didn't have any happy dollar cash today because I spent it all at the gift shop. Yeah. So, thank you.
There's a fun museum up
One
there.
more.
I got something to announce. We got 2 more, I'm sorry, but you gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. And then,
How fast do you want me to talk? President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have 10 happy dollars.
Okay.
One is I had a birthday week instead of a birthday day. Jim spoiled me with some steak and lobster on my birthday. Then he took me to the casino's new restaurant and had a wonderful appetizer dinner there. And the hits just kept coming on Facebook. So I'm happy that people reached out to me, and even I had some blasts from the past.
nice. My turkey, and then we'll be done.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have a happy $5, but really no amount of money could be put down on my happiness this week. I know I mentioned something about my child last week being in an accident, but the truth of the matter is that my son tried to commit suicide. And we as a family have decided to speak out about it because mental health affects so many people, everybody. And so I just wanted to say that $5, take the time, it only takes a few minutes, to reach out to your loved ones, people you haven't seen for a while, or even people you see every day. Whether it's a text just to say, have a good day, or, hey, how are you? It's important to always reach out to your friends and loved ones. My son had got released from the hospital yesterday. He is doing quite well, at least physically. It's going to be a long road, but he's alive.
Yeah, stuff just got real, didn't it?
Hey, Lion Lloyd, I'm going to take us home.
Somebody bought 2 bags, they're 500, right, Rick? 500. And we owe, what was it? Arlene, we owe her $1,000 for these buttons, and they're $2 a button. So come up here and buy a bunch.
What numbers you got there?
Huh?
Did you check the numbers?
No, I haven't. Rick got them, he brought them here this morning. And
winning numbers.
so, we're not sure who bought them, but I guess we'll have to write a check for that, huh, Pat?
You tell me to match your money.
Okay, George, you're up.
George, you're up, all right.
George will write the check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests. I'm hoping that you had those of you that qualify had a nice Father's Day. Those that don't qualify had a nice day with fathers in your life. I had a wonderful Father's Day. I spent it with my oldest son and grandson. And surprisingly to me, the topic of dad jokes came up. But I was prepared. I had an article I clipped out of a magazine that quoted a study that was done, this is all true, that kids who grow up with dads who are shamelessly pun-filled are actually better as adults in navigating embarrassing social situations. And then this magazine actually had a contest with its readers to give a name for this condition. This is true. And the winning entry was nerd immunity. Now, if you're wondering how I'm going to segue that comment into an introduction of our guest speaker, you're not alone. Our guest today is our state senator, Jeff Wilson. And I have to break my promise, Jeff. I sent him a text a few weeks back, asked him to speak, and I said, if you come to our club, I promise not to say anything nice about you. But that's hard to do, because there are, I'm going to think of, search my mind, there's only one negative I can think of about Jeff, and something that he owns up to automatically anyway, and that is he talks a lot. I've been into a board meeting where he would be on a long monologue, and he'd stop me and say, by the way, if you haven't noticed, I like to talk. Then on he would go. I recall one meeting I went to where he spent 10 minutes debriefing his fellow commissioners on a meeting of a subcommittee that he's assigned to. And that was after he told them that he had a conflict come up and didn't attend the meeting. But he did get brief. I sent him a text reminding him of today's meeting. I said, send me a bio that I can use or anything for the introduction. And he came back with 5 words. George, thanks for the reminder. So that leads me why I don't tell a story about Jeff. And I don't know if you remember Jeff, but I first met Jeff on the telephone about 25 years ago when he was a young entrepreneur. And he called me and said, the invoice I sent you for that oil spill cleanup is overdue. And I said, Jeff, I should tell you that I recently sold my dredging business to a company in Houston. So I'm just kind of a transition manager. And they told me to send that invoice to Longview Fiber because their barges would knocked over my oil tender and caused a spill. He immediately quoted me the Washington statute, including the chapters in the section of the RCW that says that whoever owns the material is responsible to pay for the cleanup.
All right.
So after that conversation was over, I called my boss in Houston and I said, I just got my accounting guy cutting a check for $30,000 to take over Jeff Wilson for this cleanup. And I gave him a real condensed version of the phone conversation. And he said, who the heck is this guy? I said, Jeff Wilson, our future state senator. Okay, that last part wasn't true, but everything else was. But this is what I can tell you about Jeff. When he tells you that he believes in transparency in government, he means it. And when he tells you that he represents everybody in his district, whether they support him or voted for him or agree with him, he means it. And when he tells you that he thinks the government spends too much money, that he will work hard to reduce government spending and reduce your taxes, he means it. And when he tells you that he will get back to you on an issue that you have and follow up, he does. So I have to admit that we all know Jeff. He's done many things in the community besides hold political office, charitable. He's married to Trish, 2 grown children. At this time, I'd like to help me give a nice warm welcome to our state senator, Jeff Wilson.
Thank you, George, for those kind words. And I don't know how to this day to cash George's IOU. How do you do that? But President Lloyd, Lyons, and yes, members, it's a pleasure to be here today. I won't make true the rumor that I like to talk as presented, but I would like to offer up that as your state senator, I also serve concurrently as a port commissioner. A lot of people, I got to clear that right off the bat. That is not a conflict of interest. It's a complement of interest. We do have a part-time legislature, and of course we do have a part-time port commission, and they work out really well when you approach that age of, well, what are you going to do with your life? And then the wife gives you explicit orders to get out of the house and go do something. And that's really the work product that, you know, allowed me to enter into the, I guess, the political arena. Politics, people ask me a lot, do you like your job? And really the first response seems to be the most honest, is no. It's not always that rewarding of work. And there are a lot of people in this room that have walked those halls before me in some capacity, and they understand it's a really, really big deal. You know, you go to work, and sometimes in a very short amount of time, you got to put out for now what consists of 6 counties, part or in full, but the 19th legislative district has grown. The population has grown. So the district has grown. So no longer do you get a drive to Aberdeen and say, hi everybody, I'm here. I want to talk about district business. Nope. Now you got to stop in McCleary, which is in Thurston County. You have Southern Lewis, Pacific, Wahkiakum, Grays, and then of course back home to Cowlitz. So driving around the 19th legislative district is amazing. I'm waiting for Star Trek to get back. Remember they had that teletransporter device?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. It's on your phone, Spencer. But I'm just looking for a way to speed things up because it's quite a distance. But, you know, the distance in between really shows just how unique our district is. The southwest corner of the state, you all know this. You got the beach in one direction, mountains in another. And somehow on the other side of the planet, politics, you have Seattle, of course. But everything else is still beautifully green in this side, and I'm grateful. But what I do in the state senate for you is I'll be starting my 4th year. But it didn't count the first couple years. It was very hard for me, the one that likes to talk a lot. It was really hard because the first 2 years we weren't in person. For the first time in history, since the history of this state, the doors were locked. You couldn't go in. I did go to work every day. I moved to Olympia during session. I rent a house down the street and I walk to work, or sometimes I drive to work. But with those first 2 years, I showed up in my office every day, and it was very lonely. In the building that I work at, there was only a couple other people. The floor was really a ghost town, and I don't think it was meant to be. But this year, session of 2023, we're back. And this is where I kind of started to change a little bit. Do you like that job? Yeah, because this year we were in person. We're meant to be people. We're meant to have friendships. We're meant to know each other and hear and share each other's life stories. And in politics, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to share our successes and our problems, and including our failures. And the legislature has a big responsibility. It matters more when you're person to person. So this year was really my first of many years in person. I had to kind of start all over again. I'd been to boot camp, but I did hit the ground running. I do like to be a little bit Boy Scout, I will call it, be very much prepared. So by the time session starts, I usually have most of my bills worked on. And so I hit the 2023 season full steam. I am known for being hyperactive. It's something I don't mind. It drives my wife crazy, but if you apply it and want to put a lot of time in, you can do a lot. And this year I'm happy to report I passed many bills. Something important about the bills that I passed is they matter to everybody. Because once you do get elected, here you go. You kind of got to get to the point where it's not a party position. red or blue, or any other color you'd like to pick, you really do need to leave that at some other desk. Going to work in the legislature, there's always going to be a different majority. They may be of one party or another. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, you have to work the system. It does add to the challenges, but my style was to produce bills that mattered for not only the district, but also at the same time statewide. So a lot of my bills may not have made the front page, but they're common sense bills, from wind blade recycling all the way to management groups that we need to do to increase our effectiveness, housing, all the issues we're supposed to do, catalytic converters. You know, it's odd when I tell a story, just mention catalytic converters, you go right across the street over here where CAT parks their vehicles. You know how many times they have their catalytic converters stolen? 3 years ago, I wrote the first legislation on catalytic converter theft. You know, it's in response. And that's what the legislator is supposed to do, is be responsive to current needs and trends. Growing up, we didn't even have catalytic converters. No horse and buggy stories. But we didn't. So it shows you a legislature that's effective does need to keep very current. So again, I had a very successful year with the bills that I passed. I was unanimous. I set a record in the Senate for the session last year with all bills passing without one vote against. And that means any of my fan club or any of my enemies, any party, nobody voted against any of my bills on each of the houses. And that's something I was very proud of. I have to work very hard in order to gain. Why do you pass bills like that? Now the pressure is on to repeat that performance this year, and I will. What I have upcoming, I have some very important bills. A lot of you will relate to the topics. One, of course, is my catalytic converter bill type part number 2. The other thing is a very fancy bill called biosolids, and usually you don't talk about that at lunch. It's really, it's waste, comes from people, and you find it at every sewer plant. Let's just leave it at that. So that bill will come up under the what's known as PFAS chemicals, polyfluoroalkyl and fluoroalkyl chemicals that we'll be dealing with. I have another bill coming out that you should all relate to, which will be supportive legislation on pinnipeds. Pinnipeds known as seals and sea lions. I got a lot of call from locals this year. In the month of February, our office started to get a lot of calls on what are those sea lions doing up the Cowlitz River? Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us fish, a lot of us don't fish, but living in this community, fishing is a big deal. I mean, Bob's Surplus is important. That's where we get our lures and other stores. But most importantly, this is an issue that's changed. So that's something that I have actually legislation that I'm dropping on. Two-part, it also involves the federal government because I have to work not only as a state senator, but when you want something really, really big done, there's other people that work in the other Washington. And I am certainly not shy. I work with Senator Cantwell off and on projects. I also work with Representative Perez on projects. In fact, I spent a day with her on this predator issue. Because in politics, of course, you don't want to go up a dead end. You'd like to open up all avenues. So I'm really proud of that because I assume that other people would do it before me. I mean, after all, just take this one issue. You've seen more seals and sea lions in the past few years. Doesn't it mean there's more? And what are we doing about it? Well, there's a lot we need to do about it. So I got to tell you that this year was a big year in session. Besides the success I was blessed with, we also spent a lot of your money. It was the biennium budget year where we do the capital budget, the transportation, and the state operating budget. The state operating budget came in at $70 billion this year. It's like this, yeah, and that may have been in rubles too. When
It may have been. No, it was a ruse.
Yeah, and he's correct. Mr. Palmer's correct. The budgets have absolutely, they've grown in proportions that nobody could ever see before. So it's a $70 billion issue. And a transportation budget you think would be big, but it's not that big. We gripe about roads and bridges, but we don't put a lot of money behind that. So the transportation budget was small in compared to that. And I want you to know my voting record. I can't hide from any of you, nor would I want to. You can always look up, where did I vote on any of these issues and bills? And I did vote against the transportation budget. I serve on the transportation committee. It was an obvious reason, and that's a very short answer. There was another millions of dollars set aside to tear down the Snake River dams. We've already talked about this, and therefore sometimes the bill will pass, but you get on the record to say, why did you spend that money again? What would you do with all those millions? Could you build some houses? Could you work on our mental crisis issues that our communities face and shore that up? So I guess my position is you do know when to have to take that stand. But the record is very clear. But other than that, the budget year ended up. We also closed up very well in a capital budget locally. The local library got a lot of money. Yes, we did irrigate a golf course. But more importantly, we also got things that the paper didn't print out much, like the leaking roof on the Amtrak station. You don't think of a lot of that, but the city of Kelso, were they going to get $580,000 to put a roof on a bus station and a train station? But it's simple return on your investment. Who gets to use that facility? A lot of people do. It's an affordable way that we connect. So these are some of the things I was very proud of that we got funded in our capital project. There's always a need for more money. But going forward, this last year's session, I wish we were more effective on some of the bills that we did address. Our big priorities was really to fix things we did a couple years ago. And that wasn't the best use of time. In other words, we passed legislation in 2021 known as the Blake decision, which is essentially decriminalized drugs in 2021. It took most drug possessions for Schedule I drugs from a felony to just a misdemeanor. Not a gross misdemeanor, just a misdemeanor. And the same year, we also decided to tell the police you can't chase people. Somebody does something bad and they use an automobile and they speed up, you cannot chase. So in 2021, we introduced those bills. I voted no against both of those, but they passed. And so we've had nearly 2 years of data to see what those bills did to our state. So we spent this entire session prioritizing fixing the police pursuit bill and the Blake fix bill. We moved the dial and we improved it, and I guess that's something positive. At least we made an attempt to make something better of something that we were responsible for doing so bad just a few years ago. I didn't really get a chance to tell the communities we're sorry about that, but senators and House of Representative people have a hard time saying that we're sorry. And it's okay to be human. Legislators don't make perfect legislation. But this was very important this year because we did, I guess, repair it. But that hurts a little because there's always that bigger, better need, whether it be housing or education. And as we all reel in from the COVID, I mean, it's so good to see a lot of you, and a lot of our friends didn't make it through the COVID. But most importantly, we did make it as a community, and we did make it as a state through COVID. It's time that we heal and move forward. The political divide, I don't have the magic answer for you. I wish that we could just kind of find some common ground and get there. I will always practice that. I will never go too far anyway on you. And yes, that does mean in political terms, I won't go too far left and I won't go too far right. It's kind of like that old song where they say, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. You know the song, Eric. Okay, it's not that classic of a song. But that's ultimately why we will continue to be successful, at least on the Senate side. I need to make sure to quit talking. I love to answer questions on what we did, didn't do, or what I can answer for you. Please go to questions. Yes, sir.
I was walking to you first, John.
Jeff, I'm John Claypool. I have a couple of points that I'd like to make. You alluded to one. We as a state are everywhere except the Puget Sound region, what I consider to be right or conservative, your adjective. Conservative, I would say, more conservative. And yet, the Puget Sound area, without a doubt, can elect anybody they want statewide, and they can change laws statewide. My two things that I can't believe at the present time have happened are the laws in regard to gender, that the schools are supposedly helping our grandkids and kids. Something's wrong there. I mean, everybody's put up with gender for millennia and made it through it in their own way. So why do we have the state and the schools telling our kids anything about it? That wouldn't have happened without the Puget Sound region. So my question to you is, where is the democracy in that? What's fair? Is it fair to have the Puget Sound region dictate for the rest of the state? Gun laws, another thing. I'd like to have your opinion on that.
Thank you, John. Is it fair? Regardless of the topic, whether it's gender affirming or critical race theory or anything that would be part of a public education agenda or messaging, it's not going to be fair, because Iowans will stand in front of you, John, and tell you every time that with like curriculum, it doesn't have to be the same statewide. In other words, I always believe in local control and local power. The local school board, who also is elected, they should have a say into accepting or denying versus just having something crammed down their throat. Remember, I opened up in my speech on Seattle. That's because they do control. They have the most densest population. Where I tell you the story, look, I got to drive all the way from Longview to Aberdeen next week. It's 2.5 hours. In Seattle, their districts can only be like just a couple miles across because the population is so urban dense. But yet they do control the number of votes. But I don't think that they're by any close the majority. As I travel the state, I was in eastern Washington last week on the Snake River, doing the wonderful camping trips and enjoying that part of the state. It's completely different. When you have such differences, say Seattle versus the rest of the state, that again should support my stance, which is to allow local control for local direction. It doesn't work that way. I have not been a supporter of what you were mentioning. I am a conservative, especially when it comes to money. I am very tight. And my liberal aspects in me says, look, because I'm a moderate, that's where the local control, you decide. And it's not a democracy, it's a constitutional republic. They do control the votes. I am outvoted any time in the Senate, at least by 5 votes. Because that's how the majority is spread. And it's very difficult. My feelings on this are, they're very clear. There's nothing gray about it. There are gender identification in schools does not need to be promoted in the way that they're currently doing it. Listen, my mom is a mom, my dad is a dad. I know how I got here and I'm blessed. I thank God for that. Identification, we seem to move into identification politics the last few years. It matters on what you think. No, it matters on what we think. And public education should not be meddling into what they're doing, which is creating the divide even further. It's nothing wrong. I'm not going to condemn those that would like to identify as others, but to teach it and to promote it, John, I will not support that. I never have, and I never will, because I think it's distracting from things that should be taught, like the Constitution. Really basic things. Just a few weeks ago, June 6th, was it? D-Day? You could go out in the street and ask a lot of young people, because I am in my mid-60s or middle 60s, gee, tell me about Normandy. Where is it? What happened? And that's a sad state of mind. So we're worried so much about, are you offended or not? I'm more worried about, do you understand the nation that you live in, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, both of them, the state and the federal, instead of getting, we're well off into social mechanisms. I don't support that. Senate Bill 5599 was the worst bill I heard last year. I'm on the Housing Committee and Human Services, and we heard that bill. We had the most number of people signed in to testify, even more than Second Amendment gun bill. And what it was about was children that could run away, and moms and dads don't have to know where they're at. A very young child can run away and seek, let's say, transitional changes. I'm a boy, I want to be a girl. I'm a girl, I want to be... You can go tell that to complete strangers, and they had no obligation whatsoever to inform either the police or the parents where your kids are at. These are horrible bills because it undermines the family values. And it makes a 12-year-old the most powerful person in the family. And it's supposed to be a family unit. So, you know, I'll just leave it at that, John. I'm not going to support that because I believe it distracts from the business that we need to do. People are having trouble putting fuel in their cars. You know, seniors under fixed income. You could go on and on about the topic. So these distractionary topics have become angry because the Seattle majority pushes it. They want to talk about transgender and LGBTQ, which is 1/2 of 1% of our state population. And yet they'll get 80% of your legislative time and materials during a session. I won't support it. Sorry, be blunt about it.
Should I stand for this even though I'm sitting in the front? Yeah. Okay. You want me to eat the mic?
Are you standing yet?
I am. I'm a little taller than Steve usually when I stand. Jeff, this is playing off of what was just brought up prior with minors and ages. So I'm 23. I still can't rent a car. In most states, I still can't rent a car. A couple of years ago, couldn't legally drink or smoke. Huh? Couldn't legally drink or smoke. I can go get drafted and fight and die for our country over in whatever war we enter over there, wherever that may be. But now as a minor, hypothetically, I could make those decisions. Now we kind of play the same game. We see our constituents face to face every day, and we have to, as you said, work for all of our constituents, whether they like us or not. When we put ourselves in their shoes, in their perspective, where's the other side's reasoning on that? In how they're getting from this concept of this is a problem that we need to identify is, let's say it's parents subjugating their children and preventing their children from being themselves, so to speak. How do they get from that to, okay, children can make a medical decision for themselves to mutilate their bodies at that point? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Where are they getting to that end point?
Yeah, I'll be very quick. They would be the Seattle representatives, the House and the senators that have that power to make this a silly conversation. What family members need is a 4-letter word. It's called love and involvement. It's the old days of the Norman Rockwell Saturday Evening Post. It was on the cover. Families would carve a turkey together. And although families have modernized, Spencer, you're correct, because it's ironic that you can't vote until you're of a certain age. So why would somebody that can't even vote get to decide to go into, say, surgical procedures that will change your life forever? There's no way to describe the end game, Spencer, or what they're up against. It is the majority right now that's represented in the Senate and in the House, but I don't believe that they're representing the majority of the state. In other words, I believe that these are very popular topics that seem everybody wants to talk about. Gay, straight, transgender, and it just goes on and on and on. And you think about, wait a minute, what are the people in Ukraine thinking right now? They hear a siren, they run. They're not worried about that. And why aren't we worried about other countries where women aren't even treated equally? They can't drive, they can't go to a movie. Wait, why are we so worried about this identity stuff in Washington State? I think it's going to bottom out, you guys. I think all elections have consequences, and I think that 2024 is a very big year. You do get a new governor. You're going to get a lot of other senators and representatives. And with each election, there's always the other 4-letter word called hope. And I need you to always remember that next year is a big year. I'll be there. I know you guys will do your part. I see you, have known a lot of you for years, and I'm proud to be part of the community. But thank you for letting me speak here today.
You put that on your desk and let me.
All right, Katie has an announcement.
Katie!
Run, Pat. See Pat run.
You have the cutest dresses.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have sign-up sheets for the Spirits of Longview. If you don't know how to do them online, but you should, but it's fine. Also, I need to hold a Spirits meeting after this over there.
Okay, Carrie Ann.
Spot.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, I have sign-ups for the kids' races. And as all of our events, we really need some help with that. So please sign up, and that's online as well.
Okay, Sharon.
President Lloyd, fellow Lions and guests, tonight is baseball. Yay! So it looks like there's a chance we might get a little bit of rain, but you know, hey, it's Washington, so what's rain? The gates open at 5:30, game starts at 6:30. I will be there at 5:30. We're gonna probably sit, I'm gonna sit on the third base line, so we don't have the sun directly in our eyes. Not that there's really any sun today, but anyway. And probably up towards the top, and I'll have several rows saved. So come on over, bring your friends and family and kids, and have some fun.
Cheryl? Yeah, no. You don't have one? Okay.
One other thing is, if it does really start to rain, you can always go to the Black Bears website to see if the game has postponed or been canceled. You might want to check that before you head out, if it is raining.
No rain tonight.
I don't think we're supposed to, so.
Oh, Cheryl's got something to say.
Yeah, but it's.
Cheryl's got something to say.
I have to do this myself. Next week, as well as our awards, our monthly awards, we will be doing our annual officer and director panel installation. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. Hope you plan to be here, be at the meeting. Short and sweet, hard to beat, and we'll get it done.
For the record, I will. Okay.
Terry. Terry.
Quick little meeting for, awards meeting from our little membership that is. And plus the golf tournament is, like I said, September the 16th now. Eventually I'll have committee meetings on that too. Want to join up, but anyway, probably after the 4th of July when we have a little bit of time.
Number 16.
Bob.
Bob. I thought Bob's going to ask us to get involved. He's going to ask us to do some work.
Yes, President Lloyd, fellow Lions again. The wagon is ready. We've passed our health inspection. We've got just about all the product we need to get us through the 4th. He whines to get us paperwork. But, you know, like everybody else, we need people to sign up. So somebody's got to cook those 2,000 hamburgers.
Pat, I got some receipts for you.
You just have to remember that I'm still the last to know it's raining.
Oh, yeah.
We will not have the chuck wagon at the beer garden. However, we're going to be cooking burgers and dogs, and I have a sign-up sheet here. We do need help. I've got my cooks okay, but I need prep people and cashiers. So come see me. Thank you.
And we have a board meeting the 22nd at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Day after tomorrow, right?
Right.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. At Leroy's office at Cascade Title. Y'all know where that's at, right? You've been there.